mental health warriors. You are listening to Crafting Mental Health, Episode 1. Hey there, friends, family, and mental health warriors. Yes, I am calling you guys mental health warriors because for anyone who is struggling with mental health, you are a warrior in my eyes because every morning you wake up and you keep fighting. And I am proud of you for fighting this hard fight with mental health. Who am I and why am I doing this podcast? Well, simple. My name is Yolandi, and God has been putting it on my heart for a long time to share my story. And this is what I'm doing. I am sharing my story. So, again, my name is Yolandi, and I'm 39. I'm originally from South Africa, born and raised. First came to the US in 2007, and then I immigrated in 2011, and I became a US citizen in 2017. So, yes, I'm one of everybody. And I love the US and I do miss South Africa. I've been back once or twice, but I'm glad to have put down roots here in the US and more specifically North Carolina. So anybody in North Carolina, reach out, say hi. We can meet up for coffee. All right. So the reason I've called this podcast Crafting Mental Health is because while I will be talking about mental health for the most part, I will be doing some kind of craft. As of right now, I am doing diamond dotting. I don't know if you all know what it is. If not, Google it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. It's a friend of mine has told me the other day she does not have the patience to do this, but I actually enjoy it and I find comfort in doing it, and it's it's very keeps me sane. And you can ask my husband. I have way more craft projects than I have time to do them all. Kind of like buying craft stuff. Anyway, back to the topic. Um, the first time I remember using crafts as a way to cope with my mental health was when I was in high school. I at the store saw a kit where you can make like cement or concrete molds. Is a mold with the powder, and you mix the powder and pour the powder in the mold, and then when it dries, you have this little bear. So I made a lot of little bears, and then I painted them. I don't remember what I did with them when I was done, but that is what I did with these bears. And it really helped me to just focus my energy onto something instead of, keep on spiraling. It helped me. And I think that is where my love for craft started because I've just been doing crafts ever since. And my family and friends will know they are the benefactors of my crafts because everybody will always get something that I made for Christmas or a birthday or something. So for that, I want to thank you guys for always appreciating what I make you guys, and I love you, and thank you so much. So, and then the reason why I decided to make a podcast is, well, God has put it on my heart for a long time now to share my story. And I have, been putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. And, God, sometimes God goes from little nudges to like smack you in the face. Like, come on now, you got to do it. And funny enough, a friend of mine posted on Facebook the other day how the story about Noah, how he built the ark when there was a drought going on, and he built the ark because he believed that that is what God wanted him to do in that moment. And while I was planning or thinking about the podcast, what I'm doing is I was thinking about like, first of all, who would want to listen to what I have to say? I mean, come on, I'm not I'm not a celebrity or anything like that. So who wants to listen to what I have to say? And then every time I had these negative thoughts, God just put it in my, in my thought or in my head, like, Yolani, don't you worry about who's going to listen to it. All you need to do is to actually tell your story and talk about it. And I will let the people hear it that needs to hear it. So I am trying to be obedient and facing my fears, and I am doing it. I've been planning the podcast for several months now, and I actually was going to have the first episode to be New Year's Day, but I chickened out, to be honest. And then I was telling my therapist about it the other day, and she kind of became my accountability partner. And she told me she is going to I actually made a date in her office to say, okay, this is the day I'm going to do it, which is today. So I did it. And she said she's going to text me tomorrow to make sure that I did it. So, yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm a procrastinator. And if I have a deadline or I've made someone a promise, then I keep it. So I guess I need to just make people promises that I'm going to make this podcast and then I will keep making it. Anyway, back to why I'm making it, and that's simple. I just want to start the conversation, start talking about mental health and what it is, how people experience it, what type of mental health there is. Just explain more about the different types of mental health. There's so many, and I've learned that in my recent research that I've been doing just while planning for this podcast, like all the different types of mental health, and it's kinda eye-opening to see it, like, see how some of them overlap, and, I mean, I've read some stuff on online that I'm like, I haven't even heard of this diagnosis that some people have. So then I go and I Google it and I learn some more about it, and because I wanna understand where they come from, I wanna understand what they go through, and that's the reason for doing the podcast is to help everybody understand each other so that we can walk alongside each other and love on each other and help each other through this hard time that we have in life, because life's not easy, guys. You know this. Life can be really tough, and then you throw mental health into the mix, and you got a lot to deal with. And yeah, I just want to get the conversation started about what everybody's going through, and then also just, breaking the stigma. Like, it is okay to have a mental health issue, or it's okay to have something going on. And you know what? It's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to share your story. And that's what I want to help people to understand each other. And I have a lot of topics planned. Not sure how they're gonna pan out or what we're doing, but I also have interviews planned with friends who's been through different mental health struggles, who has done several different treatment plans, alternative treatments, chiropractic treatments. I mean, you name it. There's so many things, and we're going to talk about all of them. And I also want to hear your comments. If there's a topic that you want to talk about, just let me know and we'll talk about it. If you want to join me and be on the podcast with me, then just let me know. I will love to have someone come and sit with me and we do a craft together. That's the only rule. You have to do a craft. So if you're going to come on my podcast, you start thinking about the craft you're going to do. It can be anything, even if it's just drawing a picture with crayons. I don't judge. I don't care. Just do something. And and the other day when I was telling my son that I was going to make a podcast, he was like, "Mom, can I come on your podcast?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, sure. What do you want to talk about?" He's like, "No, but it needs to be a fun podcast." And I'm like, "Well, we're talking about mental health, but we can make it a fun one." And he said, "Okay, when you hit 1,000 listeners, then I will come on your podcast and we'll make a fun episode." I'm like, "Okay, deal." So, yeah, that is my goal for right now, is to get to 1,000 listeners so that my son can come here, who's a teenager. So I'm very excited to have my son, who's a teenager, to have a podcast with me or to make an episode with me. So there's that. And so, yeah, I have a ton of future topics that I'm going to be talking about. And then, like I said, if you have any questions, please reach out. I have a Facebook group called Crafting Mental Health Podcast. Just reach out. I'll add you, just, or you can find me on Facebook. Like I said, my name is Yolandi, Yolande. My last name is Lindsay, Landsay. So just find me on Facebook, friend me. I would love to connect with you. And then I also have an email. So the email is as well, craftingmentalhealthpodcast@gmail.com. And I'm planning on getting an Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat and all that stuff. But y'all, I'm almost 40 years old, so you got to give me a minute to get all these things going. I am not the best at social media, but I am learning. And every week, or yeah, I'm planning on having an episode every Monday come out. That's the plan. Fingers crossed that that's going to happen. And I am also um, planning on having a question every week. Just again, like I said, get the conversation started. So, in the question I'm going to ask, we can start asking the question or answering the question on Facebook, on the chat, email me. If you have my phone number, text me. If you want my phone number, just ask. I will gladly have start the conversation. That's what it's all about. So, question one for episode one is: what does mental health mean to you? So some weeks the question is going to be deep like this one, and other weeks it's going to be a fun one, just like, a little silly one. So this week's question is: what does mental health mean to you? And in episode two, I will be answering this question for you to give you my opinion, my answer. And that's another thing that I just wanted to point out is that, everything that I'm going to be sharing on these podcasts are purely my opinion, my perspective, my experiences, my story. I am not a mental health practitioner. I am not a doctor. I am just a regular person like most other people. And I'm just going to share my experience. And yes, so I will leave you guys with this last thought that I'm planning on ending on my podcast on. I have a tattoo on my arm that says, "This too shall pass." And this is a phrase that has gotten me through a lot of hard times in my life. And I remember when I got the tattoo, a friend of mine said, "But Yolanda, you're getting this tattoo when you're going through a really dark time in your life. Do you really want to be reminded of that time?" And my answer to her is like, yes, I want to be reminded of how I gotten through that dark time. But also, you guys, when you have good times, great times, those pass too. So you need to hold on to those and savor those moments that everything is going great, everything is going good, because they're going to pass. Just like the bad times. The bad times will pass too. It's just a moment, and those moments will pass. So when I say this too shall pass, basically, it's just saying carpe diem, seize the day, seize the moment. And if it's a bad moment that you're going through, just remember that it will pass. It's just a moment. So keep fighting, keep standing up, keep talking about it. And if you need someone to talk to, please reach out. I would love to talk to you. I would love to connect with you. And yeah, just keep talking and keep fighting. I love you guys.